Good afternoon. Welcome. We appreciate all of you taking time to join us today, and I see a lot of our coaches are here, which means they might have had a morning practice or something like that, but we appreciate our staff coming and joining us and everybody else. This time I'd like to thank President Roberts and the Board of Trustees for their support in this search. A lot of communication, that group. Also would like to thank our search committee led by Janan Paul, and I think Janan is here somewhere. Yeah, right there in the back. Along with Mary McClendon, Jared Binko, and Lee Van Horn. The amount of time, energy, and effort that went into this process was not insignificant. Here's what I know. I know that Auburn women's basketball has been to the mountaintop before. Coach Champy's era proved that it can be done on the plains. I know how competitive the SEC is in all sports, and women's basketball is no different. I know we have a community that has and will continue to embrace Auburn's women's basketball, and for this, we are extremely grateful. I know that we have among the best facilities in college basketball and will continue to grow and improve them. I know that Auburn University is an outstanding institution that attracts many of the nation's best prospective student athletes. I know that we've entered unprecedented times in intercollegiate athletics that will require all of us to look at the new landscape through a new set of lens. So why Larry Vickers? Larry Vickers built something special from scratch at Norfolk State with precision and focus. He clearly understands the new landscape of student-athlete evaluation, recruitment, and roster management. Former student-athletes, coaches, and administrators, along with industry experts, all concur that Larry Vickers is a man who cares about his players both on and off the court. Larry Vickers' ability to teach the game is well documented. Larry has a history of community engagement. We know that Coach Vickers believes in work, hard work, based on his unique background and his attention to detail. We know that Larry Vickers is a lifetime learner who values knowledge above almost everything else. In summary, we know Coach Vickers is an outstanding leader who will serve as an example to our student athletes. At this time, I'd like to welcome Elle, Lincoln, Lane, and Sharice, the Auburn family, and introduce you to your next women's basketball coach at Auburn University, Larry Vickers. And I do want to say, Larry, I don't think this is going to fit, but it makes a good photo op here.
War Eagle. Y'all don't know how many times I practiced that. I'm probably on 125 in the bathroom. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. I'd like to thank Dr. Roberts, the Board of Trustees, John Cohen, the entire search firm, Mary, Jeanne, Jared, Lee, everybody's just been great. I also want to thank my Norfolk State family. I've been on that campus 23 years as a player and a coach, so I would love to thank Dr. J, Dr. Moore, both of my athletic directors, A.D. Miller and A.D. Webb. It was a lot of memories built there. I would also like to thank my family. My mom and my dad. My parents don't fly, so I don't know how we're gonna get them down here, but also my lovely fiance, Sharice, my daughter, Elle, Lincoln, and Lane. Lane's wore out, y'all wore him out today. But I also like to thank them. I'd also like to thank some of the notable alumni that I've heard from, and all the coaches, all the head coaches have been great. Coach Pearl, congratulations on making it to the Sweet 16. Definitely an inspiration, and all the other head coaches. I was able to talk to DeWanna Bonner. She has such great things to say about the program. And also Charles Barkley, which I was really excited about. Just quickly, Charles Barkley was my favorite player until I was 10 years old. And if anybody knows what happened in 1992, he left Philadelphia to go to Phoenix, so he couldn't be my favorite player anymore. So, but until 92, from 82 to 92, until when I started watching the game, he was definitely my favorite player. I'd also like to thank the team. They have been very, very gracious, very nice. They've made everything easy. We had a Zoom where we had a chance to speak. They've asked terrific questions, and I'm excited to get to know them more as we kind of go through the process. I'd also like to state my respect for Coach Harris. You know, I was always able to watch her from afar, and I definitely had a lot of respect for her and her program and what she's done. Now I get to talk a little bit about me. Couple things. I think some of my core values, the reason why I'm sitting here today, is because we always try and focus on student-athlete experience. You know, we want our coaches, we want our players to work extremely hard on the floor, but we also want them to enjoy college as well. You know, the social piece, the athletic piece, and the academic piece. Championships. Championships are key. They're important. If we don't win championships, I'm telling you, all my hair is going to be gray. But we're going to look to win championships and look to put a quality product on the floor. Innovation. You know, sometimes I think one thing about it being a 42-year-old head coach, I started at 33, is sometimes you see people run the same stuff. You know, people play the same defenses. I think one thing you'll like about our teams coming up in the future is we're going to do a lot of different stuff. We're going to play, you know, new defenses. We're going to do new concepts. We're going to next pick and rolls. We're going to do a lot of different things so we can be ahead of the curve. I also want to keep quality people around me. I think, you know, when you're at a place 23 years and, you know, everybody thinks like, oh, Auburn was a no-brainer because of the money situation. Auburn was a no-brainer because of the people, because of the staff. That's what made Auburn a no-brainer, the people. And we want to have quality people on our staff, and we want to have quality people on our team. You know, that's important to us. Accountability. I am the son of a 32-year naval vet. One thing my dad taught me was accountability. We want to be accountable. My teams are going to be accountable. When we're making mistakes and when we're not, you know, we want to learn from our mistakes, but accountability is going to be key for us. And then integrity. And, you know, integrity and civility means different things to different people. I'm 6'8", 260. I told my team, I can't be on the sideline acting like Kim Mulkey, you know. But, so I'm going to need them to be on the sidelines, well, on that bench and on that floor, fired up, on loose balls, taking charges, first to the floor, snatching rebounds out the way, out the air. When we get and ones, I want them to yell and one. But we want to do it with integrity and civility, and we don't want to yell in anybody's face. When I made this transition, I was trying to figure out what we would try and recruit, right? You know, styles kind of make fights. Everybody knows the old boxing analogy. But, you know, what would my ideal tiger look like? You know, what would my ideal tiger look like? Well, one, she's going to have a lot of pride. She's going to have a lot of pride in the orange and blue, right, from day one. She wants to have a sense of excellence. 31-0. We know it's going to be super tough, but we want to go into every year, every game looking to go 31-0. And it's a lot of coaches in this room, and you know sometimes you could play your best game and lose. You know, where X and O's wise, you were almost perfect, but you still lost. But we want to be excellent to where we can hold our heads up and go to the calf and you know, and I want them to be curious about the game. You know, curious about what's on my mind. Coach, why are you running two? Why do you run two on the left side of the floor? You know, why are we doing this here? Why are we doing this there? I want them to be curious about what we do. But that's not only like on the floor, that's also when they're meeting with their professors. You know, I'm somebody who went to school as an engineering major, left as a coach, right? And that curiosity to the game kind of took me that way. Engagement. And engagement is twofold. Engagement is us in the community, you know, shaking hands, meeting our neighbors. But engagement is also spending that extra time in the gym. You know, everybody wants to be on the Naismith Award winner list. Everybody wants to be on the Dawn Staley Award winner list. But not everybody's going to be engaged in the off season to get that done. And we want to have a group that's engaged. I've had some time to get on YouTube, and when you're on YouTube, that Auburn Creed pops up. You know, and as you listen to that Auburn Creed, you get to that second line, and it's like, I believe in work and hard work. And as y'all get to know my story, y'all know I'm only here because of hard work. And hopefully our hard work can lead to some championships. Hopefully our hard work can lead to that celebration on Rolling Tumors Corner. You know, hopefully our hard work can lead to 100% graduation rate. You know, that's one thing that I can promise, that we're gonna work hard in the classroom, and we're gonna work hard on the floor. And we're gonna look to meet, or they're gonna meet me halfway in everything we do. War Eagle.
Hey Larry, I'm Justin Lee with the Hope Like Auburn News. You talked about Norfolk State, and I think a lot of people would have been envious of what you had there. I mean, your alma mater and being part of both programs, and small school, you probably knew everybody there. I think it says a lot that you would leave there to take a jump like this. Just what do you want to find here? Like what are you're gonna miss something there. You know, I know you are. What is going to fill that void? What do you want to find here at Auburn?
We had a great sense of community there at Norfolk State campus. And one thing about Norfolk State, which is a little different than other places, they really promote from within. And, you know, I knew if I worked hard and did things the way that they were supposed to be done, I would be sitting in the seat that I was sitting as a head coach. I didn't expect it to be women's basketball. That's a different story. But I'm excited to be a head women's basketball coach, and I'll never go back.
Coach, you've got a long storied history. Obviously, you're a very good basketball coach. Can you talk about your plan for young women off the court and how you plan to produce not only good student athletes, but good human beings here at Auburn University?
Well, we had a system, you know. I went to a coaching clinic one time, and Amanda Butler from Clemson said, you know, just tell your team to handle a business like a woman. And they said they'll know exactly what that means, right? Because I can't teach them how to be women. But what I can do is, and what we've done in the past at NSU and it's worked for us, is we've put very successful women around them, you know, quarterly, giving speeches. Sharice, my fiance, she's one of them. She's a pediatrician, so my people that want to get into medicine, they have somebody that can talk to. For our local business owners, we'll have some of them come in and talk to the ladies about starting businesses and what that looks like and how to prepare there. You know, so it's more about life skills. You know, I can't necessarily teach them how to be women, but I can help them develop life skills.
Jeff Shear, auburntigers.com. Watched your team play here at Auburn between Christmas and New Year's, and two things that jumped out were offensive rebounding, and then you caused a lot of problems with the half-court trap. Are those staples of your program?
Yes. You know, some programs really focus on specific players crashing. And we have a formula that works for us because sometimes your forwards are better than their forwards at rebounding, but your guards might be better than their guards at rebounding. You know, and a lot of times guards don't ever box out. So we have a way that we guys back there shaking their head. We have a formula to rebound so we can try to take advantage of multiple mismatches, not only just from our forwards, but from our guards. You know, sometimes I'm only sitting here because we hang our hat on defense. I was fortunate enough to have the #1 scoring defense in the country in 2022-23, #1 field goal percentage defense. Our defenses have generally been nationally ranked. So the 1-2-2 causes a lot of the turnovers. Our speeds teams up. Now they got less time to, to run their sets. And now we can begin to blitz them and turn them over different ways. Obviously it's a different level guard all across the board every night, but we'll have a different level of player too, executing that same vision and plan.
Yeah, hey Larry, my name is Jay Tate. I'm with auburnsports.com. My question for you is, your first 5 or 6 teams at Norfolk were good. Your last 3 were outstanding. This one this year was really, really good. What helped you turn the corner there? What was the difference? Did you kind of learn something? Did you catch on to something?
Well, 2 things. Probably about during COVID, I kind of found my way offensively. When I transitioned from men's basketball to women's basketball, the sets weren't working for me like they were working on the other end. I finally found my way offensively. So instead of winning games 52-47, which we were, we began to win games 70-something to 52. So that was the main difference. I found my way offensively, something that works for me and my team.
Coach, you've got to recruit and hit the trail quickly here. Can you talk about your plan for putting together a roster for next year, or even re-recruiting the current roster? What's your message to recruits about why Auburn right now? Why Coach Larry Vickers?
Well, Auburn is an amazing place. Facilities are very nice. I mean, that locker room, I might get a beanbag chair and hang out in there. I might get one right next to the players, but facilities, people, quality basketball, the best league in the country. It's a lot of stuff as far as why Auburn. Why Larry Vickers? I think, when you talk about the transition, and as people began to do their research and players began to do their research, they started watching the way we play basketball and say, I want to play in that system. I want to play that style. We're going to put that system and that style in front of them. It's beneficial to them, for the ones that want to play internationally and in the W. And it's going to be the same system and style that they'll run, like I just said, on the next level.
Larry, what made the timing right for you to make this jump right now?
Honestly, I checked everything on my Norfolk State bucket list, except one thing. We wanted to win an NCAA tournament game. That was the only thing we didn't check off. And there's things on that bucket list that we did that I would have never planned. I would have never planned for a low major team to win 30 games, So for me, it was what's next, and there's no better league that's going to test your X and O's, your ability to recruit, than this one.
Coach, kind of speaking on recruiting, coming to a place like Auburn with a much larger recruiting outreach, do you still plan on bringing on some of the smaller grassroots recruiting relationships you made back in Norfolk?
Yeah, of course. I have some players on my team that really could have played anywhere. They just saw something in me that they liked, and in our program and in our locker room. That locker room is key. They saw something there. So I do have players that can play in the SEC. Now, will they be first team SEC? Maybe not. But I do have players that can play on this level. It's all about finding that right gym and that right system and that right marriage. It's players in the country that might average 27 for their respective programs, but couldn't average 27 for me. So it's all about finding that perfect match, that perfect mix. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. War Eagle.